Yes, people, this is vlog number 3. If you subscribe to me, thanks. Keep it up. Give yourself a little one of these, one of those. If you like what I'm doing, like my stuff, share my stuff, comment on my stuff, do what you gotta do, and thank you. Yep, we're still recording. Yep, good. Those who unsubscribe me, I will find you. I will get you. You hear me? I'm not playing about. I'm crazy. Yeah! I'll give you one of these. The old. Woo! These are my 5 best songwriting techniques that are useful to me. But first, let me just calm down. Let me just, think about the subscribers. Think about the subscribers, George. Woo, here we go. Number 1, working in a key. I think this is quite useful for me. Sometimes I might want to work with chords first instead of lyrics, or instead of writing to someone else's beat. If I have a certain sound or a certain mood I might go for, then I might work with chords first. Or even if I don't know what I'm going for, work with chords first, so you know what you're going for. So that's where theory comes into this. If you know your theory, you know what chords can work with what other chords in certain keys. You know what notes will work with other notes. So you know the way to play, you know the restrictions it has. But that isn't always the way. Some things that don't work do work. Depends what you're doing. For example, like jazz musicians, they tend to have alternate ways of playing chords other people play. So I'd say knowing the key you're working in can help you learn about that key as well. So if you specified what you're working in, you know what to research, don't you? You might look at different voicings, or you might want to use 9th chords, 13ths, or you might want to take inspiration from other songs that are in that key. It's a really good idea, I think. So number 2, I might limit myself. And with me, this is basically with the lyrics. I find myself limiting myself a lot of the times lyrically. So basically, I mean, not really in terms of lyrical skill. I mean, just limiting myself specifically with the words. So I might go on rhymezone.com or random word generator. I will pick words and I'll have to stick with them. And this can be a really useful way to kind of set a goal almost, or set things you have to work with instead of sitting down procrastinating like, what should I work with? What sort of song should I write about? What should be the subject matter? You might find yourself writing about things you've never wrote about before. It's really good to expand yourself, because even myself writing about same old things. So I need to set them limitations sometimes. You can even compare it with technology, like people say tape versus DAW. It's a random comparison. It's a weird comparison, but give me a chance. Basically, we've got all these possibilities with DAW. In a digital audio workstation, we can do nearly anything we want. We've got all these instruments. You can even crack things. You don't even have to pay for them. You can get literally any instrument you want and do anything you want digitally. Back in tape, you couldn't do anything you want. Things did cost money. Not only that, things were more physical, weren't they? But because they had them limitations, they were forced to work with them. And I do find myself, even as a producer sometimes, procrastinating how I should do things in the DAW, as well as with the lyrics, So too much freedom basically can be problematic. I don't like to think, but it's the truth. So number 3, I'd say reference tracks. Producers do it, engineers do it, but if you're just going for a certain type of sound or a certain style, like if you listen to an artist and you're like, I want to sound like this person, or I want to write like this person, there's loads of even things for lyrics up now, like what's it called? What's that website? What's the rap? Oh, is it Rap Genius? 1 second. Oh, it's just called Genius now, I think. But Rap Genius. It's quite useful for studying like a rapper's rhyme scheme, or how many internal rhymes they might have. You might start noticing patterns. But in terms of just reference tracks in general, like sound, I think it's quite useful, like getting a track and producing to that track. You know what I mean? It's like one of my tracks for my EP last year called Reflecting. That's the track name, not the EP. And basically I made it after listening to Jay Dilla's Life instrumental and also Proof's track, Life. I just love the sound of that track. So I wanted to make a track like it, you know? Is that copying there? I don't know, don't care. Yeah, and I found it did help me with the mix, you know? I wanted to make it warmer as well, and I realized what he was doing with the drums, you know, sidechain and stuff like that. But it also helped in terms of, you know, the way things were played. Just the general sound gave me inspiration to do a track like that. You know, that it could be as general as that, man. Like, it could just give you inspiration. You're like, I want to make a track that sounds like this. Or it could be arrangement. You might want to make a track that has a similar arrangement to this other track. Dude, I find myself listening to a lot of Flying Lotus songs because I just think like some of his older stuff, it's just crazy. Even his newer stuff, like, or later stuff. But man, like, he doesn't really stick to hip hop's cliches. And that's what I find him interesting. And I'm like, you know what? I want to make something like that. But then I kind of forget how he sounds. So then I have to bring up his tracks again and listen to them, you know? So you're not really copying. You're just kind of trying to remember the inspiration you first heard. Does that make sense? I don't know. Number 4, try a different style. Hip hop, try a different subgenre. If you're doing boom bap, try trap. Try grime, you know, try R&B. Not technically a subgenre, but you know what I mean? Try lo-fi. I think it's a good way of expanding your sound and your style. You don't want all your tracks to sound the same, but you don't want them to all sound random as well. But obviously, you can kind of meet yourself halfway if you experiment in more than one style of hip hop. For example, I never thought I'd find myself doing more than one down-tempo song, you know? I find myself doing down-tempo songs quite a lot because it's almost become part of my style. But also, people know to expect other sort of tracks, like boom bap sort of tracks. It is possible to do both of them and have your style working in that style of music. You know, if you're doing boom bap and you find yourself turning over to trap, you might see that there's obviously a change in tempo. There's a change in the way people rap, the way the drums sound. I also find that trap, it is less, in general, sample orientated. That isn't to say it doesn't include samples, but you can make a really good professional trap beat without samples. So number 5, the last one, I'd say use pictures and art to give you inspiration musically. I'd say this is quite an interesting one because it obviously isn't musical inspiration, it's a visual sort of thing. But sometimes you might find yourself wanting to make something sound how something looks. Because obviously when we have a song in mind, we already have an image in our head. But what if you don't have that image in your head? Because I do find myself like inspired by anime or manga or just drawings in general, or the way things look. Like I'm a big fan of, like, you know, certain fashion brands, certain clothes. I think it's just personally, I do have a big thing for visuals and also packaging, the way things are packaged sometimes, that really does help me. Maybe I'm shallow, who knows? But I do think art in general, it's like if you just look at it all as art in general, it will almost give you permission to look at other types of art like visual and stuff, because it's all art really, but you're making that divide automatically. You know, I should just listen to sound. But what if you could look up pictures? What sort of things do you like to look at? Ask yourself. It might help you. Alright, that's been my 5 songwriting techniques. I'm cooled down now. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like it, you know, subscribe. Let me know if anything's been helpful to you. If it hasn't, write a little angry comment. Please don't dislike it. Give me a like. Show me love. Did I say subscribe? Let me know what to work on. Expect more videos from me. I'm looking to keep very active. Really want to go hard with this tubing thing. And yeah, peeps. Peace.